Hi, this is Lydia Cornell, and I want to tell you a story about something beautiful that happened to me a few years ago. But first, I want to connect it to what happened last week. A week ago on Friday, September 11th, my AA birthday, my 26-year birthday, I couldn't stop crying all day over the death of a child in Oregon in the wildfires. This little boy, Wyatt Tofte, Tofte. He was found in his car with his puppy on his lap in his grandma's car, and he burned to death in the fires with his puppy on his lap. And I was devastated. And I have been praying with compassion for people for years, but for some reason I couldn't get a handle on this last week. I couldn't figure out how to make sense of it. And then I remembered something beautiful. And I remembered that prayer really does work, because my sponsor reminded me that he had been praying for his own daughter who was missing for years. She was suicidal, she was missing, she was on meth, she was close to suicide, and they couldn't find her for quite a while. And every night he would go into a meeting at 6 o'clock and have the whole group pray. They would pray for her every single night. Later, years later, when she was found and they had a reunion, she said, I felt a shift. I felt love enveloping me every night at 6 o'clock. So never doubt the power of focused love. And prayer is the invisible transfer of love to another. That's what I've come to learn. That's what I feel it is. Because I don't believe in an anthropomorphic God, a man-like God in the sky. I don't really believe in any of the religious forms of God in the fear and punishing version. I mean, there's some very archaic versions of God, which is like a authoritarian figure that casts down lightning bolts of punishment and fear. No, God is love. That's what I've come to learn. Good orderly direction, G-O-D, or group of drunks in AA. You can use that acronym. Or great outdoors, or just goodness, infinite goodness, the force of love. The higher thoughts are always in the realm of casting off your selfishness and caring about others first. So anyway, when you line your thoughts with these higher thoughts, you start to act differently. You start to care less about your own selfish needs, and therefore your needs are met. That's the trick. That's the rub. When you stop worrying and you help others first, your needs are met. It's like a circle. The more you give, the more you receive. So anyway, when my son was in 3rd grade, he stayed home for a whole week with a high fever. And the next day he went to school after his fever broke. And the principal sent home a note with him saying, last night, a little boy in 5th grade died of a high fever, a 5th grader named Benjamin. And he was a 10-year-old boy, and the same fever my son had, this little boy died of. And I read that note and I fell to my knees and I sobbed, and my heart was just full of such love and compassion for the mother of this child. I couldn't figure out how to feel about this, but I just kept praying for her with compassion. I said every prayer I knew. Please help this mother, fill her with love, fill her with peace. God bless this mother. I did the Lord's Prayer. I did a Buddhist prayer. I did a Zen prayer. Basically, I just spoke from my heart. That's what prayer really is. Like I said, the invisible transfer of love to another. And kind of by a weird force beyond my control, got me up, and I went straight to my car, and the kids and my husband were going, where are you going? And I said, I've got to find this mother. I've got to find this woman. And I went to my car, and I didn't know where she lived. I saw an address in an apartment building a few blocks away, but I wouldn't know how to find a woman in an apartment building. Usually you have to have the apartment, you have to get in somehow. But my car just drove over to her street, and I turned right on Rexford Drive, and I just kept driving. In the middle of the street, I saw a woman in her bathrobe, just looking distraught, tormented, with tears, and she was looking up to the sky, crying. And my car pulled up, and I parked, and I leaned out, and I got out of the car, and I looked at her on the sidewalk. I was a few feet away from her, and I said, are you Benjamin's mother? And at that moment, we ran into each other's arms in the middle of the sidewalk. We just ran, and we hugged, and we couldn't stop hugging. And she said, did God send you? And I said, I think so. And then after that, we went into her apartment, And we sat together for 3 hours. I just sat with her and listened and comforted her and talked about her son. And she showed me all his Pokemon collection and his Yu-Gi-Oh cards and every photograph and every toy. And what was so beautiful, they had one bed in the living room where he lived. Their little boy, this fifth grader, Benjamin, stayed in the living room because their apartment was so small. The other bedroom was for the older son in high school, and the parents had the other. It was a two-bedroom apartment. And I remember just sitting and listening and holding her hand, and she made tea, and we just wanted to talk and just grieve. And all I could do was just be there for her. And at one point I said something after I remember my brother had died suddenly years ago in a catastrophic way. And I said, our children are on loan to us. We don't know what their real purpose is. I mean, we don't own our children. They're on loan to us. God needed Benjamin back for something bigger, for a bigger purpose. And I gave her a great deal of comfort for some reason. I don't know where these words came from. I didn't think of anything. I wasn't trying. But everything I said must have soothed her in the right way. And when she walked out, she said, "Do you believe in angels, human angels?" And I thought to myself, we can all be angels for each other when we get out of our self-centered fear and our egos and our petty, selfishness, to come out of our shell and help another person. That is what an angel can do for it. That's what a human angel does. And a few days later at the memorial service, she used the exact words I said, that our children are on loan to us. So I think that all we can do, we can't really, we can't interfere with other people's actions, but we can't change their actions, but we can change our own reaction. We can react differently. We can respond with love. That's all we can do. We have no control over other people, but we can control only our own reaction and response, and our own actions, of course. Thank you for listening. I'm going to keep exploring new ways to help other people and to get out of my ego. The acronym for ego I've learned is edging good out, or edging God out, EGO. Okay, thanks for listening. Bye.